Hey everybody, this is Noah Reed with you. Welcome to the Look in the Trees podcast. I'm so glad that you're joining me here today. Today is just me and myself and I, and I'm gonna tell you a bit about myself. I'm 20 years old. Went to school to Zionsville High School. I grew up in Claremont, Indiana, and from there I moved to Zionsville, Indiana. And yeah, so I've been living here for about 8 years now. It's been definitely a long ride of things in my life and things that have happened. So I'm just thank God that I'm here right now in this moment that I'm able to tell you how I got here and what happened. But it's been a long few years. So grew up. I like to say I was a very pleasant kid. I was like the life of the party, I guess you could say. I was a good kid. I never really had any issues growing up. Don't really remember anything everything I really wanted, I pretty much got. So my parents are great parents, Lori and Micah Reed. I don't have any resentments towards any of my parents because they're really good parents, and I love them for what they've done for my life. So yeah, had a pretty good household. I have two brothers, Caleb and Eli, and I'm the middle child. I used to be a great kid, life of the party. Started growing up. I moved to Zionsville after when I was like 12. I moved to Zionsville, and that's when stuff got crazy. So I just when I moved, my cousin Michaela Ford was actually battling cancer, and I was just like, oh, she's gonna beat it because it's like never happens in my family. Nobody died. I thought at the time that nobody could harm us or harm our family. Just infinite life. At least that's what I thought. So you know, she started battling that cancer, and soon I realized she's not gonna make it, and she did. She passed away when she was 14 years old. And that is when I could say that things really started taking a turn point for me. So I was 14, had a friend named, won't name him, but I had a friend, and that friend is very, I don't even talk to this friend anymore. That's how serious this is. But I had a friend, came over one day after it was just been normal hangouts, normal sleepovers, normal everything, normal shenanigans as young teenage boys. And, one day he came over and was like, hey, you ever heard of weed? Something like that. I don't really remember that day because it was kind of a craze, but he came over and he brought a pen or what, brought a pen, a weed pen, and at the time, I really didn't care for drugs. I didn't really know what it did or what it was, or did I have an interest in them, but at the time, I was literally going through everything in the world, and I had like this emotions that I didn't understand yet. So when these emotions came upon me, I was always looking away to distract myself, like playing with fire or doing dumb shit, basically to keep myself distracted. And I would do that by any means necessary. So when my friend came over, said he had weed, I was like, maybe we can try that. So later that night, um, we waited till my parents fell asleep, obviously, and then when my parents fell asleep, we were outside. It was like October night. It's pretty chilly, and we were out on my trampoline. He told me to hit it, and I hit it a couple times, like 6 times. I don't know how much times I hit it, but I hit it about 6 times, and I didn't feel it at first, but I went over to the trampoline and laid down for like 5 minutes. Then I started feeling it, and after that point, from that point on, it was set in stone, and I was a drug addict. That's when I first started getting into drugs. They say weed is a gateway, and I truly believe that. So that's when I really started. When I felt that high, it felt like I didn't even deserve to be on Earth. So I felt like I was a god, and that is not good. So it's just like uncontrollable laughing, really good feeling I felt in my body. And this feeling would carry throughout my life until I was 19 years old. And one thing I can remember saying to myself when I was younger, like 15, 14, I'd get so high and I'd tell myself I want to be like this all the time. And that is when I realized that I'm never going to let this go, and it's my best friend. So, fast forward maybe 15. I'm 15 years old. Start looking at this stuff. The same friend was talking about acid. It's a psychedelic hallucinogen. Changes your perspective. You see crazy stuff. I'm pretty sure you've heard of it if you're watching this podcast. It was called LSD, and LSD was very scary. I guess you could say for some people, but for me, I was more interested in it than scared. But you know, I just realized that I'm starting to go down this hole, and I didn't really care because I was just trying to numb the feelings that I felt in my body at the time. I was severely depressed, severely suicidal. I tried to kill myself when I was 12 years old after Michaela died, and I went to a hospital for about 2 weeks. It was Riley Children's Hospital. I went there for about 2 weeks, got out, and yeah, that was where the suicidal ideation started. But that's where the drugs come into play. That's when I was starting to like fast forward to 15. And when this started, I knew it was going to be like the end of me. I don't know, I guess you could say it was opening doors to a demonic aspect of life. I don't know, it's just like a demonic gateway. You could say weed's a gateway that led me to LSD. It's just what it was. But, you know, I tried LSD for the first time when I was 16, but I got interested in it when I was 15. But when I'm 16, with a couple friends, and same friend was there that showed me the weed. I was with a couple people, and I had taken it, and I started really getting into it, really tripping out, seeing crazy things. Like there was one point I saw Jeffrey Dahmer in my wall, and I wasn't scared. I was just like, what the hell? What the fuck? Why is it in my wall? I saw Indians. I saw the Illuminati. It was not a good time. So but at the time I thought it was the coolest thing. I had this tree wallpaper, and this is where "Don't Look in the Trees" come from. This tree wallpaper in my room, it's gone now because it's triggering. But this tree wallpaper in my room represented like the demonic world because I would look in the trees every time I get really high on LSD or psychedelics, and I'd see some crazy things, and I would never want to look away because of how crazy and cool it looked. So that's where that comes from. But and then for a long time I got really addicted to LSD, which is kind of unheard of, but it can happen. Trust me. And I got addicted to LSD for a long time. It was at one point, I was still 16 at the time, but there was one point where I was doing it every other day. Every other day. And my mind was constantly in a scattered point of view. Scattered point of view. It was constantly battling just this eerie feeling in my head. I was pacing all the time. I was never thinking right. And it was just a madness. And I couldn't stop doing it. So one day my friend was like, "Hey, you're doing that a little too much." And really, that's all it took for me to stop doing the LSD a bunch. Because I don't know, I realized myself too that I was kind of fucking up my head. So yeah, there's that's 16 years old. I move on to 17. I'm really into it now. Like I'm smoking weed. I'm doing shrooms, doing acid. And then I did a drug called DMT when I was 17 years old, all alone in my room. And when that happened, I can really say it opened up some demonic doors in my life. The spiritual realm was flowing for real, and there was a spiritual battle constantly. I'd seen some things I won't even talk about because it was just so scary, and I didn't like it at all. It was the scariest thing I think I ever went through in my life. So, 17, and then I found this thing called Adderall, Vyvanse. Stimulants. Stimulants are what really got me into other drugs because I also make music, and when I make music, I love to take Adderall and Vyvanse and all the stimulants. So I would combine that with LSD, combine that with the weed, all these things to get higher. And I always told myself I can't make music without these things. And at the time, it was true in my brain, but it was never true. It's such a lie that the disease creates in your head. I'm My parents at the time were like very concerned, very deeply worried about me, and I didn't know or cared what they think. I didn't care what they thought at all. Period. I hated myself. I hated life. At the time, I really didn't like them. I didn't understand that they just loved me and were trying to help me. So at this point, I've been through like maybe 3 hospitals, in and out, in and out, in and out, and just going through life and missing a lot of life because of my addiction. And I didn't really understand it was an addiction at the time, and they didn't understand what the addiction was either. But I had the disease of addiction, and it was very prevalent in my life. A very scary time in my life. So I was dabbling in cocaine, tried meth. It was a terrifying time, and this is all throughout my teenage years. And I just, I always thought to myself, I can never get sober. I thought to myself, I will never be able to get sober. Never, never, because it was every day I go to sleep, tell myself at night, I'll stop. I won't do it anymore. I'm gonna stop tonight, and it'll be the last night. Wake up the next morning, and I was like, fuck it. And when you get to that fuck it mind, that fuck it part of your mind, when it says, fuck it, we ball, or like, fuck it, let's do it, you're in a really bad area, because that area of your life is going to be very detrimental and very serious. If you don't, if it goes unchecked, you're just gonna lose your brain. And for a long time, I didn't know who I was, or what I was doing, or what my purpose was on this earth. And it was just the most scariest. I almost died. I almost died a couple times. This recent experience, they told me I was one pill from overdosing. And when I heard that, I was like, whatever. I wouldn't have died, because at the time I wasn't afraid to die. I wasn't afraid to die, and that was the scary part. No, it's much worse to live like this than die, because there's just so much misery and weeping and grief that goes on in your life at this time of your life, and you're just, at this time of my life, I was just grieving and just living a life of misery, and that was much worse than dying to me. And now that I look back at it, so but yeah, I kind of skip it around a bit. When I was 19, I had a moment where I was on Adderall, and I was really going bad, really doing bad. This time, it's kind of a dark story, but I cheated on my girlfriend with another person, and that person snitched on me, told me, and at the time, I was on a bunch of drugs, a bunch of everything, and I was just making the most irrational decisions. And I just want to thank Jesus for everything that He's put me through, because I wouldn't be in this very moment right now. I am thankful for this experience, and I'm about to tell you. So, I woke up one morning to a bunch of messages. I would not. She's my one and only, and I just want to say that that's the love of my life. But woke up one morning, plethora of texts from her, and as soon as I read this, I take a pill, an Adderall pill. Turns out these Adderall pills were meth pills, straight meth. So I got up out of my bed, started screaming and crying, and I busted out the door. And my parents were like, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" I just bolt out the front door. I bolt out the front door, and as soon as I bolt out the front door, I run towards the street and I jump in front of a car. Hits me. I don't know how fast it was going, but it hit me, knocked me out for a second. I woke up flipped on my belly, bloody nose, no severe injuries. But the fact that I jumped in front of a car says a lot about how my life was going at that point. So, I was crying the whole time. So I woke up in the hospital. They knocked me out with something, I don't know what, but I woke up in the most deranged state. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what was happening. I was just scared. So the nurses were being very, I could say, mean to me, and I noticed that. And At this time, I don't really remember much, but apparently I got up, tried to leave the room, and I pushed one of the nurses, and she fell down to the ground. And when that happened, three cops tackled me and hit me pretty hard, and I got strapped to a bed for like 4 hours. I was asking for water, I was asking for something to drink, and they were like, "Fuck off! You're in trouble now. You really messed up." And these were really not nice nurses, and I want to say, especially with the state I was in, they should have known that to listen. There's a lot more into the story. I'm just telling you the basis of it. But 4 hours go by. I get unstrapped from the bed. I'm like, yes, I get to go home. No. I turn around. These police were like, Noah Reed, you're under arrest for battery. And I was like, fuck. And all I said was okay. I just accepted it at that point because I knew I couldn't get out of it. I was in handcuffs for about 2 hours. Um, I fell asleep on the way to the jail because I was just like, I can't believe this is happening right now. It was the scariest thing. It humbled me so much. So get into the area, and the worst part about jail, honestly, is the checking in process because it just degrades you and lets you know that you are not a part of. They don't care about you in there. They don't give two shits about you. You're surrounded by monsters. My dad always told me there was monsters in jail, but not all are monsters. I'm gonna get to that. But it was just the most humbling yet scary experience that I've been through my entire life. And I can say that firsthand, as soon as I got into that jail, as soon as I walk in, this dude's like, "Hey, you got any Kool-Aid packs?" And I just, in my head, I wanted to cry, but I couldn't. I couldn't say that I was. You can't show your pussy in there, or they're gonna get on your ass even more. And I was just like, "No, sir, I do not." And went to bed. I was just happy that I had a bed at that point, because the checking in area, you don't have shit. You lay on the concrete floor, you watch people, and there was fights going on everywhere. Dudes screaming, and I laid on the floor on the outside of the jail cell because I wanted to feel a lot warmer because that ground on the outside of the jail cell was for some reason way warmer. I got kicked in the stomach by a cop telling me, "Get the fuck up, go back in the jail cell. It's the only place you can do that." I wanted to cry, but I couldn't. So, yeah, I get into the real jail. I was just happy I had a bed and a blanket at that point. I was so gone in my head. It was the worst. I was detoxing at the same time. But I was there for about a day and a half, and that's all it took. I learned some things in there. All the people have told me, "You need to get out of here. Go, don't do this again. You have so much ahead of you. Don't take this for granted." And I took that to the heart, but it still wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to get me to understand that drugs were the issue. So I do get out, and I go to this rehab called New Day, and New Day was a Christian rehab, and I didn't really wasn't too fond of it. Not that it was because it was Christian, but because of the people didn't really have a brotherhood. It wasn't really a brotherhood. Nobody really cared about anybody. It was just get in, do your 30 days, and get out. And I could say I was sober for a while after that. I was, but it took about 2 weeks when I got out of the New Day. That excuse me. It took me about 2 weeks when I got out of the New Day to relapse because I remember before I left for everything, I left a weed pen under my bed, and as soon as I got home, I found it. It was still there, still fresh, and I hit it immediately. The doors were open back up again, wide open. And this time it was way worse. Um, from there, I dabbled in meth, tried cocaine. I was doing this the more Adderall, more Vyvanse, as much as I could at this point. I was on Adderall almost every day of my life, every day, making music because I was so addicted to the music. I didn't care about nothing but music because I just wanted to escape. But you know, fast forward a couple, what maybe I'm 20 now, so fast forward till I'm 20. I'm at this point, and I got here by I'm at this point, and one day I go into this weird thing because I had no. Okay, so now I'm here, and I'm 20 years old, and so fast forward about a year and a half, and I can say I was still doing the same shit. I was stealing shit, stealing money, stealing all types of stuff to get what I wanted, the drug. And that's when I really realized I had a problem. I knew it. I had a problem. So yeah. When I got to that point, I realized that I needed help, but I didn't want to get the help. I didn't want to go through another detox. I didn't want to go through another 30 days. So one night I had stolen a TV to get what I wanted. And I smoked it. I smoked that TV with weed, and it was only 8 grams. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that really crazy? For 8 grams, I sold a TV. It was a nice TV, but it's besides the point. Anyways, that night I came in from the house. My dad was like, "You need help. You're gonna get help, or you're gonna get the fuck out of our house." Basically, is what he said. He didn't say that. He's not a cusser, but he told me that I was gonna get kicked out if I didn't get the help that I needed. So I agreed to go to Fairbanks, and I got into Fairbanks. That's when they told me that I was one pill from overdosing. I was like, I don't give a fuck about that shit. I really don't care. But so it was at that moment when I got into the hospital. I was there for about 36 hours. I tried to AMA twice within those 36 hours because I didn't like it. It reminded me of the time when I was in the hospital when I went to jail. So I didn't like it. And it was a small area, small everything. I didn't have anything, nothing. You're just there, and I just didn't like it. But this therapist there was like, "Hey, we have a choice for you if you want to go to the lodge." And the lodge is like, you can have your phone, you can have a vape, and that's at the time that's all I wanted. I had no idea the change that what I was about to go through, and by the grace of God, I said yes, and I was like, "Let's go to the lodge." And at first, I was like, "I don't want to do another 30 days. I don't." But something inside me was gravitating me towards the lodge, and I ended up going to the lodge. So I get to the lodge, and as soon as I walk in, I feel this overwhelming calm feeling that everything is going to be okay. And it's just this sense of relief. And the relief I had was overwhelming. The people there were so nice. The staff, everybody, they did an amazing job. So I'm here for 30 days. Within those 30 days, an immense change happened. I never thought I can get to this point where I'm at right now. I'm sober, I'm clean, and I'm happy. For once I decided, what would happen if I actually tried to do this and work a program? So I worked the program and I did it and I did what I needed to do and I did what I wanted to do. I decided to myself, I'm going to stop doing this because at this point it is life or death. And my parents at this point have lost all respect for me. They have started to wanting to gravitate towards letting me leave the house without nothing and just kick me out. So the lodge I really took advantage of the lodge, and the lodge is an amazing place. The most beautiful way to recover. We went to meetings, we went to outings, and I still go to meetings today. I still see these lodge people because the love and the fellowship and all that plays a big part in my sobriety, and I'm just so thankful. I'm just so thankful for where I'm at today because I did tell myself I never would be able to do this. God, thank you, Jesus, that I'm here in this moment right now. And I just want to say that you can do it too. I know it's kind of seems like easier said than done, but it's possible to do these things, man. You can do it. If you want to get sober, you can get sober. It's about putting in the work and facing your issues because you can't run away and cower like a man. You can't. You gotta face your issues. You can't run away from them. That's all I did was run and run and run, and it didn't get me where I wanted to be. I almost lost my girlfriend. By the way, we got back together, and we are much stronger. We are the strongest couple I think in a long time. I've grown to a point where I want to marry her, and that's gonna happen. Trust. But my family play a big part in this. It's just an amazing recovery that I have made a complete 360, and it's been an amazing experience. an amazing experience. So yeah, I am just living proof that you can do it, and people know me, so like they know me to be that drug addict. They know me to be the guy that can get them drugs. So it used to be such a scary, scary time. So I'm very thankful for where I am today, and that is my story. So that's the introduction to Don't Look in the Trees. There's more to come. There's a lot more to come. We're gonna have people. We're gonna have special guests. We're gonna have a co-host. This is just the beginning, and this is going to be. And I'm doing this for my sobriety, and I'm doing this to spread awareness. So thank you for listening, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Goodbye.